Hello, I'm Shivani. Welcome to Idea to MVP Phase 2. In our last episode, we talked about minimum viable product. In today's episode, we'll be talking about next phase of it, scaling your product, acquire customers and scale growth. Joining me today Rahul, founder and director of iConnect Digital Solutions, having 25 years of experience in product development, business strategies, and customer relationships. Welcome, Rahul.
Thank you, Shivani. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, once you build your MVP and you have that early traction, so what's the next step?
Okay. It's a very good question because when you launch something, when you're working on an MVP, you practically just have your vision in front of you and you start building things. But when you have received or you have gained few initial customers, you will start getting a lot of feedback from the customers, as well as your sales and marketing team would have already started hitting the market and they're trying to acquire as many potential customers as possible. So they come to know about a lot of features that your product could possibly have. So your product backlog starts getting bigger and bigger. And then you have to really do a good balancing act in terms of prioritizing things. And that is where things become more tricky in terms of handling it. So the product team has to make sure that they are prioritizing things without losing the focus on their product vision, as well as ensuring that the customers are getting what they are asking for.
Feature prioritization sounds challenging. So, how should founder do that?
Okay. So, as we have discussed already, that you start getting the feedback from the customers, and then you get a lot of feature requests from your sales and marketing team as well. So we as a product team have to make sure that while we take all the feedback that you are receiving from the market very positively, but as well as you have to make sure that those features are aligned with your initial business goals as well, right? So we have to make sure that we break those feature requests and your backlog into small chunks which are manageable, which are easily deployable, and they don't break anything with your existing customers. So what we suggest to our customers that you involve all the stakeholders, be it your sales and marketing team, be it your customer representative at times, involve them early into the planning process so that you are able to divide your backlog into manageable chunks. And then that's how we should prioritize it.
As you mentioned that team collaboration is playing massive role in it. So after MVP, how should team evolve?
Okay, so when you are working on a MVP, you have a very thin team available with you. So practically everyone starts contributing in every possible aspect of your business. So after the product has got traction into the market, people have started using your product, you have started receiving feedback. That is when you have to make sure that you have a set of people focusing on specific roles and responsibility. So two teams becomes very, very important. One is a customer success team and then a product development team. Your customer success team is responsible to ensuring that they are in touch with your existing customers, they are getting all the required feedback, they are passing that feedback to the product team, and then product team putting them into their planning process. So having a separate demarcation between who is managing customers and who is looking at evolving the product in future, that demarcation is very, very important.
Okay, Rahul. So now we understand that how team structure should be. So how do we evolve and scale with these teams?
Yeah. So now we have defined what roles each individual is going to play in our team. So now we have to establish certain processes so that when the company is scaling and reaching new heights, we make sure that we don't put anything into production without breaking things, right? So it is important that you do some level of automation in your processes as much as possible without costing a huge amount of money, right?
Yeah.
As well as you have to make sure that you have continuous integration processes in place. You have a customer feedback loop established. You have proper communication structure defined and put in place when you're dealing with customers. When you launch a new feature, you have to clearly create release notes and then pass it on to your customers so that they exactly know what has changed into the product. If they have to upgrade something, what actions do they need to take on their side? Because at times it happens that they are using your product, getting some data from it, and then they have written some integrations. So if you roll out something that breaks all those integrations, that is something as a product team we would not know. So you have to make sure that there is a channel open with your customers. When you are releasing something, they are well aware that these are the things that are going to change, and then if it is going to impact something on their side. So having a clear process and team established which continuously engaged with your customers and telling them exactly what is coming at what time and what can they expect out of it. And then as we have spoken earlier, doing releases in small chunks helps, because then you know what has changed and then you are in a position to really roll back something if something goes wrong. So having a rollback process also in place is equally important.
Scaling with products and having multiple team members, whether it's a physical or virtual, it can cost a lot. So
Yes.
how can a founder manage that higher costs?
You mean from infrastructure standpoint?
Infrastructure as well as technology standpoint.
Yeah. So nowadays all products are built for cloud first, right?
Absolutely.
So I have not seen many products which are still using on-premise infrastructure. So everyone is trying to adopt some or the other cloud provider in terms of building their scalable products. So we have to make sure that we are keeping a tab on the resource cost, the cloud cost at each resource level. Means I have seen some examples where the team was not keeping an eye on a particular resource usage, and that resource usage was costing 60% of their overall monthly cost. As well as we as teams use a lot of third-party products, right? So on a monthly basis, it is important that we keep a track of what third-party services we are using and do they worth the cost that we are paying for them. And then as the product evolves, the surrounding infrastructure is also evolving at a faster pace. So you will always find some cheaper options that are available which you can move to. But then again, it's a balancing act. You have to make sure that you are not just focusing on the cost part, you are also equally giving due importance to the performance benchmarks of the product as well. So saving cost and then ignoring the performance benchmarks you have already said creates problem. So you have to make sure that you are continuously monitoring things as well as taking corrective actions wherever possible, definitely without impacting the customers.
As you said, while developing product, we develop many features according to client feedbacks that will create technical debt. Don't you think so? So how should we address this issue?
Yeah. So when we are developing products on a continuous feedback that we are getting from the market, yes, We will develop certain features which the customers might be using in the past, but they probably don't need it right now. So having a technical debt into the product is inevitable. So we have to make sure that, obviously, depending upon what are the business priorities of your business is and at what stage your product is, you have to make sure that your product team carve out a specific time whenever possible in order to review the code, making sure that there is no non-traceable code. There are no features which are not being used in the product by the customers. And then take it into account when you are planning for your next release. But at the same time, there could be one customer who would be using that feature. So you have to make sure that in your product you are adding analytics when you are building it, so that in a dashboard you know that which are the features that customers are hitting in your product. And based on that analytical dashboard, you would exactly know that, okay, is there even a single customer who is probably using that feature? And if he is using that, then you should make sure that that stays there. Mm-hmm. So it's very tricky to remove technical debt. I understand that as a technologist, you might feel that, okay, I'm doing code reviews every now and then and removing non-traceable code is an important thing to do from product stability point of view. But at the end of the day, you are equally responsible towards your customers. Yeah. So having that analytical point of view inbuilt into your product is equally important. And that helps in terms of deciding what exactly is a technical debt and what is the most opportune time to get rid of it.
Yeah, absolutely. This process is quite overwhelming, and as we have multiple opinions from everyone, so how should founder be focused on the product growth?
See, one guiding principle is that when you have started your journey at the time of building your MVP, so you have a product vision in front of them. Then you receive feedback from your customers, your early adopters. So having a good working relationship with all those customers and then making them part of your product vision is the key in terms of making sure that you are staying focused and then evolving your product, which is liked and loved by customers into the marketplace. So that's how you do it.
Thank you, Rahul, for the thoughtful discussion.
Thank you, Shivani, for having me. So scaling from an MVP to a long-term product is all about being disciplined and being balanced. I hope this discussion would help some of the founders who would be watching this, and then we as a iConnect would be able to help them as much as we can. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.